Okay, I think we are live. Welcome, everyone, to Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. We took yesterday off in honor of what used to be President's Day, and now we don't know what it really means. Yeah. So I hope everyone took some time to refill their cups, recharge, care for yourselves and each other so we can get back to it this week. My own self, I have a new piece of hardware here. It's a continuous heart rate monitor that I have to wear for 2 weeks so doctors can figure out what's going on with my ticker. I think it's really just stress related, honestly. The heart racing, or it could be perimenopause, which is fun too. And it could be, the prevalent doom and destruction we see all around us. And the fact that some bozo clown in the administration called all of our public employees the parasite class, which I cannot tell you how frustrated and angry that makes me. These are the people who keep our nation running, make sure that our disabled folks are cared for, our veterans are cared for, our elderly are cared for. I mean, the roads are paved, like all of the things. Our teachers, I mean, the list is long. I don't need to enumerate it, right? But calling all of these people parasites is really beyond the pale, but not unexpected from these folks, yeah? A couple of shout outs, I guess. If you need some rest and restoration, some cup filling, some time with others and change work, just caring for each other and imagining, our collective positive some future. We have a retreat in Joshua Tree, March 17th through 20th. Love to see you there. Please check it out at the website. Also want to shout out Sony. They are their Create Action program invested in Swell and also invested in Dylan St. Bernard's project Youth 250. And Dylan, in fact, introduced us to the Sony Create Action world, and we're so happy and proud of that partnership and beyond blown away by the work that Dylan and his team's doing. So Sony, yay, they are not stepping away from their DEI work. In fact, they're stepping up to it, which is phenomenal, and we are grateful to them, though, it really should go without saying that anybody should have to, but they're some of the good guys in all of this. And I think that's about it. Yeah, I guess kind of back to this heart rate monitor thing because it's really kind of intrusive and I'm trying to get used to it. And maybe folks have questions about it. I don't know. But if you are feeling any of the physiological symptoms of um, stress, which may be, weird heart stuff or high blood pressure or panic, like all of these things that you feel in your body when your autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic mode is like switched on and not coming back down. That may be an indication that it's time to, yeah, really up your self and community care game. I don't think the human body was really meant to sustain this level of constant stimuli, right, that we get in the modern world, like since, kind of the Industrial Revolution and to today. The level of just noise around us, like literal and kind of metaphorical noise that we are coping with and processing every day, I think kind of sets our internal antenna, just like fries them, right? So um, folks that have like pain disorders or migraine or other autoimmune stuff. I think maybe we're just more kind of sensitive to this barrage of stimuli, and it causes our bodies to say, yo, hello, please pay attention to me. It's an invitation to look inward. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to do is figure this out. And I feel beyond grateful and privileged to have healthcare that, allows us to do this exploration. So I'll tell you what I find out. It's 2 weeks of wearing this thing. And this is what really cracks me up, though, right? Like, this is sort of like a tech forward kind of thing, right? A continuous monitor. But there's a little piece of paper, I don't have it with me, but it's this little folded up piece of paper with little grids, and you manually write in there, the date and the time and the symptom. I guess somebody, when I send this back in its little box with this little piece of paper, has to manually do the data entry of my little form to cross-reference the data here. And it seems like the most archaic process and system to collect this data. Like, there's not an app for this, but I'm not. I'm sure Philips can figure it out. They're like a gazillion-dollar company, right? But I haven't figured this one out. All right, well, let's get to the card pull, folks. Let's see what is what. I haven't even checked and make sure oh yeah, okay, good, my audio is working. That'd be a drag if I'm babbling away and nobody hears me, but sometimes it feels like that, to be honest. Okay, last week we got the collaborator, and we got that twice in a row, co-creating to create. The universe and the ancestors are calling us to, step into being in community with one another in this time. I really believe that what we're able to create together is better than anything any of us can create on our own. What it calls us to do, however, is to de-link our identity from the ideas that we bring forward into these collaborative spaces. That's where the tension and the decision making gets difficult, right? Because our ideas may be evaluated in the moment, or and an evaluation can be a positive one, right? Like, somebody in a position of power contributes an idea to a dialogue, and somebody say, yeah, that's a great idea, and then all of the energy runs towards that idea, because this person's power kind of acts like gravity, right? To sort of draw energy in. But that is not necessarily the best collaborative outcome, right? We know that, we trust that if we, maintain a positive sum mindset, that the sum of the parts may not even be anything we recognize. We've got to throw it in there into the dialogue, and then, we all sort of mold and tweak and fashion and explore and come up with new things, and da 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 da. That's why it's really important when you're in a collaborative decision-making setting that this be a two-phase process. And the first one is generative. Nothing is evaluated. Everything's contributed, explored, imagined, etc. And then when folks feel like, oh yeah, we've done our due diligence there, we feel like we understand one another's perspectives, our needs, we've been sufficiently creative, only then do you move on to committing to an outcome. And what happens when tension arises is it gets really muddy in between there. So a generative process, we might call it a brainstorm, but there's really no clarity of like, what do you do with brainstorming stuff, and then what happens next? And so it's two phases: generative and then commitment. You're not doing the commitment to any of these ideas in the generation phase, during that generation phase, or evaluating positively or negatively any of the contributions in that phase, because that just hamstrings your creativity. And creativity is where the beauty of our diversity is unlocked, okay? And it's an equity-centered process, because DEI is the future, and we're not giving it up. Okay. Let's see what the ancestors say about all of that. I got to give this a good shuffle. I say 7 actually gives you a fully random set, so it's 3. Going to that sound. Ancestors, please get this. The communicator. The communicator. All right, words have power. Yes. We are truthful, outspoken, flexible, clear, quick, relatable, friendly, intelligent, open-minded, intuitive, psychological, discriminating, informed, and articulate. Yes, we are, fam. Okay, let me just check a couple of things here in the magic book. Communicator 31. I love this deck so much. And you know, it's so funny because I immediately like kind of the title of this deck sort of repelled me, your sacred wealth code. Because I got a thing about money that I'm trying to unlearn, and wealth feels, you know, icky and scary, and people with money and distrust and yada yada yada. um, and then I kind of came to the conclusion that wealth is not just money, right? It's maybe it's all forms of capital, but maybe capital as a framework isn't of itself is in itself somewhat suspect. But our community, our culture, all of these things are wealth. Yeah. So anyhow, long story longer, I've come into liking this deck. Our purpose is to speak truth and illuminate clarity and understanding for the positive growth of humanity. Let's get out there, fam. The shadow is overwhelm, being sarcastic, blunt, and pessimistic. Yeah. If you're in your shadow energy of the communicator, your words can be blunt, like cudgels, or razor sharp and sarcastic with the power to cut others down. If you don't check yourself, you can hurt those you love and care about. Yes. This I learned was my go-to zero-sum strategy when tension arose, right? I would kind of power up my 50-cent words and start throwing them down in a meeting and trying to, you know, show people that I was smarter than they were. Oftentimes, I would be trying to illustrate this to the people in power in the room. And I would say I needed to work on my humility a little bit. Yeah. Because honestly, anyway, anytime we're using our power in a zero from framework, as in to like one up ourselves, it's no bueno. Yeah. And I had to do kind of some introspection and some work on myself around like, oh, that thing that you are saying is a no good thing around how people in power use their power. You're doing it because we've all been acculturated to that, to find any power that we have or think we have or are trying to grow and when put to the test or tension arises, to use that power to win. Yeah, doesn't really get us to those collaborative outcomes that really, it's not an equity centered model. If we just end up using our power in the same way the oppressors have, even if the power is, you know, our smarts and our words or whatever we may have at our disposal in that moment. That doesn't mean that there's never cause to use your power in that way. Obviously, if people are, you know, are threatened with like immediate harm, we will step in and care for folks and use the power that we have to protect them. But when we're collaborating with our peers and navigating power differentials in cooperative spaces, it's not usually the best go-to. Yeah. So anyhow, beware of that shadow of this leadership trait, the communicator. Our words have power, and we use our power in a positive sum. With a positive sum mindset, we use our power to as fuel for change rather than as something to, you know, coerce or win or, you know, undermine. We use our power as fuel for change to lift one another up, to expose truth. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. At any rate, have a wonderful week, you all. It is a short one if you took yesterday off for former President's Day. And we'll see you next time. I appreciate y'all. Be well. If I can find the button here. Bye.